when perfectionism becomes an issue in your biz. So I want to start by first telling you about a client that I had, and she wanted to start a YouTube channel. So she spent all this time like filming these videos, like doing a really amazing professional job of it, like editing them, creating the branding for her channel, like writing a beautiful email, sending it out to her list. And she did this twice, and then she just completely stopped doing it. I like didn't see anything else going up, like there was no more emails about it, and I was like, what happened to your channel? And she was like, you know what, it just wasn't really how I wanted it to be, so I just like put it on the back burner. And I think a lot of the time we do this because we're like, we see what everyone else is doing and we're going in there the first time. Like, she's never started a YouTube channel before. It was like her first couple videos. They looked great. It wasn't that they were bad, but it was her perception of them and her fear that they weren't good enough that was holding her back. And I was like, well, you know, the only way that you're going to get better at creating more video content is by creating more video content. But she was so in her head about it and was so afraid of like what other people were going to think of her, like how she was showing up on camera, that she just ended up like scrapping it and not really doing anything with it. So I just want to like ask you for a second, does this story sound familiar? Maybe it's not YouTube, maybe it's something else, maybe it's something else in your business, maybe it's social media, maybe it's writing emails. Everyone goes through this at some point in time, especially when you're new to starting a business, or even when you've been doing your business for a while. There's always going to be that next level thing because, like, as I'm sure you know, like, there's like reels coming out, there's like TikTok, there's all these other different things that we've never done before but become part of running our business, or they can become a part of running our business. But a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to look silly, I don't want to look stupid, I don't want other people to judge me, so I'm just not going to do that thing even though it could potentially move my business forward. And the reason that you're doing this is because you're just already straight away judging yourself as not good enough, and you're afraid that if you put it out there, other people will see that you're not good enough too, and then they're going to judge you for that. So it's like this feeling of like you want to be in a certain place, but because you feel like you're not good enough right now, you hold yourself back from actually doing that thing. And doing that thing is what would make you better at it, but you don't want to do it because you feel like you're not good enough to do it at the standard that you want to do it. And I hate to break it to you, but there's no way to get better at anything without doing the thing. You cannot learn how to surf without getting in the ocean and paddling for wave after wave after wave. And you have to be okay with looking a little bit stupid, feeling really uncoordinated. Like, this is from my own personal experience. When I first moved to Australia, I really wanted to learn to surf, and like, I was terrible for a very long time, but I didn't let it stop me because I could see where it could be, and I was like, I want to be at that point, and I'm just not going to get there unless I throw myself in and just keep doing this. And eventually at some point it will feel easy, it will feel natural, you'll be able to stand up and get the wave, or you'll be able to create YouTube channels without having to think about it too much. But you'll never get to that point if you're still stuck in the place of being like, I don't want other people to think badly of me or think that I'm not doing a good job, or I don't think what I'm doing is good enough, so I'm not going to put it out there. Or another thing that I hear people really have sneaking in is like, they start their business, they're kind of getting some momentum, and then they're like stuck on this hamster wheel of doing absolutely everything, and they're so close to burnout, they're so close to being like, I can't take on another thing, I'm physically exhausted, it feels like the work just never ends. And it's like, okay, well, either you have to decide that you're gonna let go of something, or it's time to hire a team. But then they won't do either of those things because like, one, well, what could I let go of? I don't want to let people down. Or two, like, they don't believe that someone else could do it better than them. They don't want to release that control. They don't want to like, or sometimes they don't even believe they deserve to be supported. So it's like, well, then you kind of reach a stalemate with yourself because you can only work so much, and like when you lead yourself to burnout, like, you can't push past that into being able to work more. So the only solution really is to either like take things off your plate or to hire help. But when you don't believe that you're worthy and deserving of that, or you don't believe that someone could do a better job than you, you're not going to be able to do those things. And so this is where perfectionism really sneaks in your business, but it's really just fear showing up as something else. So when you like, it basically leads you to self-sabotage because You think that you don't want to put yourself out there and you don't want to look bad at what you're doing. You don't want people to judge you. You don't want people to think you're doing a bad job. You don't want people to realize that you're not good enough, which they're not going to realize, by the way. Like, if someone is criticizing you, you're never going to be criticized by someone who is doing more than you, because they simply don't have the time. So you're only ever going to be criticized by someone who is doing less than you. And if they're doing less than you, or like not even in the same field, why are you listening to their opinion? Why is what they think of you more important than what you think of yourself? So this is how perfectionism really sneaks in, and it can derail your business. And if you're not careful, it's going to lead you to self-sabotage and basically probably blow up everything that you've created, because you're not able to release that fear of not being good enough in order to do the things that you need to do to move your business forward, whether that's hiring help or it's just doing the thing that feels uncomfortable, like being on video and putting that video out there over and over again. And when you set this impossible standard for yourself that you have in your head of what things should look like, or that you should be able to do everything, you end up self-sabotaging, because those things, really, it's not possible. You can't control what other people think of you, and there is a max to how much you can work. But if your perfectionism is showing up and telling you that you have to be the person to do all the things and you have to do it perfectly on the first go, it's an unrealistic expectation. And like, when you keep setting those unrealistic expectations and not meeting them because it's totally impossible to, you really destroy your self-confidence, and you're self-sabotaging yourself, because then you're kind of like being like, well, I can't do it anyway, so why would I bother? And it allows you to just hide from the things that you actually need to do to move you forward. So basically you just end up shooting yourself in the foot, and your business doesn't move forwards at all. And that voice in your head that keeps telling you that, like, you have to keep doing more things, or you have to be working more, or you can't hire someone, or what you're putting out isn't good enough, your video content isn't good enough, that voice is trying to protect you, but it's not your friend. Like, consistency is the key to success, and it's not like one of those things that's super fun to talk about, because there's nothing sexy about the sound of consistency, but it really is the thing that's going to ultimately make your business successful. Because if you decide that you're never going to give up, ultimately the things that you want have to happen at some point. But the best way to do this is to set yourself goals that motivate you, but they aren't so far out of reach that you get depressed when you can't hit them, or setting goals for yourself that are unrealistic, like having a perfect looking YouTube channel on the first try. It's just not gonna happen. And like, so it's like, you need to have that consistency, and you also can't be afraid to fail, because you need to realize that it's like Tony Robbins always says, like, failure is just feedback. So basically you kind of almost have to like put on your scientist hat and be like, okay, I'm going to try and do this thing. Here's what I expect is going to come out of it. Let me go and do this thing. Okay, I'm getting feedback. This isn't working the way that I want it to. Let me change this thing. Okay, I'm going to do it again. And that's basically what running your business is like. It's just trying things, tweaking it over and over until you find something that works really successfully. But the thing is you'll never get that feedback if you're afraid to try, or you're not going to commit to just trying to do something that feels really unfamiliar to you. Whether that's starting your YouTube channel, or like hiring a VA to help you so that you can actually manage your workload. Like, it's always going to feel weird the first time, and it might feel uncomfortable, and they might mess up. But the thing is you learn from your mistakes. Like, I really noticed this right now in, like, I'm studying my degree in psychology, and the practice questions that I do, the ones that I get wrong, those are the ones that I remember, because when I realize, I'm like, oh, this is just a gap in my knowledge. I don't make it mean anything about myself. And that way I can be like, okay, well, here's a gap in my knowledge. Let me refer back to the textbook so I can understand what I need to learn. And then when I learn that thing, I learn it so much better than the things that I got the first time around, because it really sticks, because you learn the lesson and it like stands out as emotionally significant for yourself. But you don't need to make it mean anything about you. It doesn't need to mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're not cut out to do this. It just means that there's something where you need to fill in that gap of your knowledge, which is totally normal to expect. So much of running a business is just figuring things out and making it up as you go. And if you're going to be afraid to get it wrong, this is really going to hold you back from accomplishing everything that you need to. And you need to realize that like it's safe for you to rest, it's safe for you to be supported, and like you are good enough exactly as you are. So basically, just to sum it back up again for you, perfectionism is going to hold you back in every area of your business and ultimately just lead you to burnout or quitting, because you're constantly trying to prove that you're enough and you're frustrated when you're not there on the first try, which is unrealistic to expect. And I'm all for setting unrealistic goals, but it's like knowing that consistency is the key to get you to where you want to go. Most of us don't get things perfect on the first try, and we can really learn from the things that we get wrong. And when we see it as a learning opportunity, instead of it making it mean something about us, that's when we can actually learn and grow and like get something out of that experience that just makes us better at what we actually do. So if you're struggling with this at all, reach out to me. I'm happy to help, and we can book in a free strategy call to talk about how we can help you overcome your worthiness issues in 21 days. So that's it for today. I hope you have an incredible day, and I will talk to you soon.